What was the worst scandal of your school? A teacher nearly stabbed the eye of a student by slamming his face on the desk while he was playing with his triangle ruler. I guess the teacher wanted to show him a magic trick. Hocus pocus, your eye is now out of focus? Some kid in middle school threatened to bring his dad's gun to school and shoot another kid. He was taken to the principal's office, and the principal took out his own gun, pointed it right at the kid's head, and asked him if he still felt like a tough guy. From what people said, it was a fake airsoft gun the teacher had confiscated from another student, and they thought it would scare him straight or something. He told his parents. Parents filed a lawsuit, and he resigned shortly after. I don't know what happened after that. Was it wrong? Probably. Did it get the point across? Probably. A teacher lost control of a class that just wouldn't settle down. I don't know to what extent, but it resulted in him storming out to get the pretty feared principal to intervene. Unfortunately, before he arrived to the principal's office, he collapsed in the staff corridor of a heart attack. He didn't survive. His son was in the same year as the class in question, just not in the same room. I can't imagine what he thought about his peers for the next 2 years in school. Nobody was volunteering for the open day. We'd have to show prospective students and their parents around, so every student from 15 and up got volunteer duty on Saturday instead of detention. Everyone hated that, so a few of the guys went to a fishing supply store, got a few pounds of live maggots, and hid them throughout the school, just in time to cause a massive fly infestation during the open day. They hid some of the maggots alongside fish waste, the smell of which took weeks to properly air out of the building. There was also this time when they tried to smuggle a few seagulls from the beach into school. They actually managed to catch 5, but only could set one loose without it flying away immediately. It wasn't a scandal, but in grade 11, a classmate of mine passed in a motorcycle accident when he got sideswiped by a truck. He wasn't popular, and he had almost no friends. The morning after, we were quietly told that a student had passed away, and everybody just went about their day. Several weeks later, a very popular student, Chad, yes, that's his actual name, was at a party. He got drunk and he went driving. He wound up in a hospital in critical condition after very nearly killing a family. Of course, because it was Chad, it was a day of mourning at school. Teachers were getting in on it. Those people. As a gift to teachers, the kid made pop brownies about a week before graduation. Kid was the most innocent kid on the planet too, and all the teachers loved him, and they obviously trusted him quite a bit. There have been past incidents in my school of students spiking teachers' coffee and food and stuff like that, so they were always on edge. But with this kid, they trusted him 100%. So he put a plate in the staff lounge, and let's just say there were a few classes that were pretty giggly. I also want to emphasize that nobody should ever do this, as you have zero way to know how someone's going to react to cannabis. Most teachers were just classically high, all giggly, lazy, etc. But one teacher had to go to the hospital as she reacted badly to it and essentially had a panic attack and started screaming. I believe that she has a form of schizophrenia that she was medicating for, but the cannabis just triggered a bad reaction for her in her brain. The kid was then arrested for this, and I haven't seen him since high school. A couple of kids snuck into the auditorium to smoke cigarettes. They heard a teacher coming, and they threw a cigarette down and ran. Cigarette dropped onto a couch being used as a prop for a school play. The auditorium caught fire. Full school evacuation, auditorium burned down to the nubs. Took months to clean up and rebuild. They were caught. I can only speak for my time there, but in my high school, a guy about a year ahead of me tripped out on bath salts while he was in computer tech class. He wasn't a big guy, but very strong for his size. And he flipped multiple tables over with computers on them, flailed on the ground like he was possessed, and was about to assault another student before help arrived. He probably would have bitten them. It took 8 EMS plus police officers to hold him down. And even they were struggling. The craziest part of it all, he was back at school 2 days later, and I overheard him bragging about how many people it took to hold him down. Catholic school. One day, a priest who went to Africa as a missionary gave a lecture at the school. In the middle of the lecture, he asked about careers. Choose some students to answer, and they randomly choose me. What do you want to be in the future, young boy? An adult film star. Everyone in the auditorium burst out into laughter, and I got suspended, but it was worth it. From about a week ago until now, my school is under investigation for anti-black racism. A video was released that showed a teacher yelling and being discriminatory against some black students who were in the hall. She even said that she'd been accused of being racist before. Our school is on the local news, and students have created an equity and equality group to support each other. There have been several other incidents with some teachers and students, but the higher-ups aren't doing shit about it. My English teacher in the 11th grade was sleeping with a whole girls' basketball team in exchange for straight A's. I actually failed English that year, but when that made the news, my school said I didn't have to go anymore because he wasn't doing the grading properly. Everybody who had his class got a B. One year on exams day, they were trying to add a new method to prevent cheating when a man from administration comes to every class before every exam and collects students' phones while sticking a sticker with a number on each phone and giving that same sticker to the student so he can get his phone after school without having anyone coming and taking his phone that looks alike it or something. This was working at first, and a bit preventing cheating. Until one day, some guy sneaked into our high school and came as the man who collects the phones while he wasn't, and stole the whole high school's phones and went. Oh lol. Kid made a chlorine bomb and threw it out in the trash can at lunch. Lockdown, bomb squad, every single kid and faculty member out in the field in 95-degree weather for 2+ hours until the parents could show up to pick their kids up. This was a middle school, so yeah, he got expelled and arrested. 2 years later in high school, he's back to school and built like a fucking MMA fighter, full beard and shaved head at 16. A kid in my class sent an email to the White House threatening to kill Socks, Clinton's cat. Secret Service showed up a few days later after they tracked down his computer. Did he get punishment? Lifetime ban for ever working for the government. He was in the military track too, but they ripped up his contract. First week of high school, PE class. The first section was swimming. Wasn't my class, but the class after. The kid came up with a game with his friends in the water. Who could hold their breath the longest? He was going up for air, but he hit his head on the pointy part of the gutter and never made it to the surface. Friends didn't notice, teacher didn't notice. Eventually, football players coming back to the locker rooms noticed. He ended up passing. Teacher was fired, although I wouldn't fully blame him as he was attending and teaching kids who didn't know how to swim or weren't strong swimmers. One adult for 60 kids? That's the school's fault. I understand the teacher not noticing, but the friends who were directly competing with the kid didn't notice? Must have thought he was just really good at holding his breath. Yikes. When I was in grade 9 in 2009, there was a whole school fight that lasted a whole break into the next session. There were even 3 teachers involved. The injury rate was ridiculous. There were over 15 broken noses, 2 broken ribs, and some stretched optical nerves. In 1999, 4 girls from my high school went on a 6-week-long armed robbery spree. They knocked over 4 convenience stores and a bakery before the police caught them. This happened in a conservative middle-class suburb, and altogether the girls got away with less than $5,000, which might have been the most scandalous part. If they'd gone into subprime lending, I'm sure their parents would have been very proud of them. 3 kids broke into school at night. They proceeded to spray paint one practice field, set fire to another, and burned a bunch of equipment. Thing is, one kid had a very recognizable pair of shoes, and they were caught a couple of days later. I will never forget being in first-year honor science class, and this kid we knew, he was a bit of an odd duck, but generally fun to be around and pretty chill. He was telling us all that as class was starting, he might not be around tomorrow. Nonchalantly, we ask, and he just says, I'll be in jail. He'd say some pretty off-the-wall stuff out of nowhere, and so a lot of us brushed it off. Next day, during class, a few police come out of nowhere, and they arrest the kid, and he goes off. But why was he arrested? Last I heard, nobody knows where the kid is, or if he had part in a murder beyond helping bury the body. Some say he was part of it, but he always said it was under duress. Dude might be long gone under another name, nobody knows. Strangest thing I ever witnessed personally, though. During high school in the late 80s, it was toward the end of the school year, and finals were just around the corner. School went on lockdown, and we weren't allowed to leave class. Everyone was quiet and calm, waiting around for a few hours. One of my friends was outside because the lockdown happened during his free period. He was going from class to class, updating everyone on what was going on. Turns out, a senior went into the principal's office with a shot-off shotgun and was holding him hostage. The cops were called. After a few hours, we were all sent home. No one was physically harmed in the end, and it turns out that the senior didn't get into the school of his choice, even though he was a great student. He was under extreme familial pressure to be the best, and must have cracked. I didn't know what happened to him after that, as it wasn't really spoken about much, at least not in my circles. It always sucks to hear stories like this. Yeah, people tend not to think of the damage that they're doing to their kids with such high expectations.